What's happening, wrestling card collectors? We are back yet again for another edition of the monthly recap, and I'm with, as always, the one, the only, Paul Anand from the Price Guide. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. What's happening, Tony Vella? Nice to see you. Nice to see Warrior. Nice to see Rhea.
Yeah, well, when I need backup, these are two I call.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's pretty good backup, dude.
Yeah, pretty good backup. So, little old, little new. Why not? So,
So,
just got back from vacation and back in the heat over here. It's going to be.
I was going to ask, a little warm down there today?
It's going to be 108 today. Today's the coolest day of the week. Then it's going to be 110 plus, going up to 118 all the way to the end of next week.
It's hot up here in Toronto, Canada. So, you guys down in the States in Arizona, California, and Florida,
Yeah, but I take your hot over this hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like we said earlier, you're always reminding me in January and February when I'm freezing my balls off how nice it is down there. So,
That's why you came down in January this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I just booked my Mexico flight for next January. You
Nice.
know what? Having the 4 seasons, it keeps you rugged. It does. It keeps you on your toes. And you can get into things. You have winter sports, summer sports. You get a taste of everything. It's cool.
Here, no, we just have
seasons really are like fall is beautiful up here. Southern Ontario, when the leaves turn, it's one of the most beautiful places in the world.
We have just warm and hot here, pretty much. It seems like.
Yeah.
So
we have hot and hotter.
Yeah, hot and hotter. So it's different when I open up the store doors and I go outside. It's like getting hit in the face with the oven.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of go outside already, just my eyes closed anyway. So but we're not here to talk about weather, man. We're here to do another one of our monthly recaps. And we have some
wrestling
stuff
cards
to cover. We do have some stuff to cover, I believe. Do we not?
Yeah, and we're here to talk about the month that was June 2023. As always, we're going to talk about our top sales, look at our index quickly, talk about National coming up, a couple of things past that, and then we'll be out. So
let's just start like we always do with our new releases. What do we have coming?
What's going on and what happened on? So, what do we have? This month was Revolution, obviously, and it seems like Panini's following the exact schedule as last year. I don't know if they do that in other sports, if they go in the exact same sequence, but we had Prism and a Revolution. Now they've announced Select. Probably won't do another Chronicles, but it seems like they're following that. So at the beginning of the month, Revolution came out, and the big deal on those, and we'll get into those a bit, is the Kabooms and sort of what happened, or more so what didn't happen with those. So that was it for Panini and WWE. AEW, Upper Deck, nothing.
Well, we had other stuff from Panini. We also had the Father's Day.
Yes, yeah, I was going to get to that. I'm saying on the big releases.
Yeah, okay.
But nothing yet again from Upper Deck. I was thinking in 3 weeks' time, maybe we'll just go ask them what the hell's going on, huh?
Yeah. Well, I'd love to go and talk to them face to face. Maybe get some answers.
Yeah, go sniffing around the booth and saying, okay, Mr. Upper Deck, Miss Up is out. Who's all there? Yeah. We wrestling fans, we got to know what's going on.
Yeah, I just
rather than being negative. I mean, I'm sure.
I don't want to be negative about it, but again, it's just I'm so disappointed with the hype that was built on that. I mean, I remember my wife has been repurposing a couple episodes I did for Card Life TV. One talking about the hobby, one talking about the store, and tying the two together, which was really nice. But I go back and I don't like to listen to any of the previous episodes we've done. So, but I did hear stuff with my wife's constantly editing and doing stuff for video stuff, and I was pretty big on it. I was hyping up that Upper Deck release for AEW before it first came out. We all were. We were just so buzzed about it. And I'm sorry, these are the words I'm going to use. And it's been a big letdown ever since.
Yeah, they've dropped the ball. Something's happening there. Maybe we'll find out. Maybe we'll report back.
Yeah.
This is our last get together before the National. So, we're going to get to meet Panini people and AEW, or sorry, Upper Deck people. And maybe we'll get it from the horse's mouth.
That'd be great.
Because if it's something legit, a real business concern, then we'll find out for you. But nothing from Upper Deck. And you mentioned a moment ago Father's Day. The Father's Day promo from Panini is a multi-sport set. They've done a couple of them so far, and there was only 4 cards. There was a Roman, a Charlotte Flair, a Cody Rhodes, and Randy Orton.
No, Bray Wyatt.
Bray Wyatt. My apologies. It was just the 4.
Actually, there's a total of 6 different cards you can get from this set. Actually,
there's a couple of chase cards as well that are rarer.
Yeah, there's the Roman Reigns and the Hulk
These
Hogan.
cards are they're $5 cards. They're easy to get. I got all 5 fairly quickly. There are parallels as well, but they're just a neat little adjunct to what we'd normally get. We see this with Leaf stuff. Leaf all the time has wrestlers.
Well, let's clarify this by the way what this is. So this didn't happen last year. No wrestling was included in last year because
No,
it was
not
too
in
it was
in
too
their
soon
set.
after it's acquired the
They got
license
the
and started
license.
putting out stuff. So this year what they do, this is going to be one of 4 type of releases they do, like just
Yeah.
like this. There's the Father's Day aspect of it. At the National, there'll be 2 different versions of this. There's going to be a VIP one, and there'll be a usually a wrapper or box redemption type stuff. So there's 2 different ones there, and there'll be another one for Black Friday.
Right.
So I would probably it's pretty likely we're going to see some other wrestling insert type stuff in this multi-sport type of. It basically just covers kind of all their licenses in the sports sites like that, of like little bonus stuff like buy some stuff from us, in return you get this, you get points and this kind of thing or whatever, and then you get X amount of packs depending on what kind of boxes you buy and so like that from either from us or from selected retailers.
But for collectors are cool because
Yeah.
like the Leaf stuff, like we know at some point Leaf was sitting on a bundle of Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair stickers. So all of a sudden they made all sorts of different cards that would turn up in their multi-sport sets throughout the years to move those cards along. And as collectors, it gives people, opportunity to get, if you didn't get the last one, you get this one. And I like stuff like that, especially when you can get these cards now. I'm still in the Immaculate Chase.
Sure.
Trying to do that set. 3/4 of the way there almost, but it's a real bear. Like I'm up to $25 a card now, and that's why when you can buy a card like this for $2-3, it's good.
I've seen them online for 99 cents. So.
Yeah. So I got them early, so I probably overpaid by $4, right?
Probably, yeah.
On the indie side, there was ICW, NHB, and I should just mention this. And again, we're not the arbiters of what's good and bad, but I heard quite a bit of negativity on this set, just insofar as the quality of it. I think Chuck mentioned it came in a plastic bag rather than a box, and just the quality of the cards themselves compared to some of their previous releases just wasn't.
As you and I have talked off air many times, Paul, there is a serious lack of distribution, quality when it comes to the indie scene. You and I have spoke many times, and we know where that has fallen, and we've talked about it. And here we are from our predictions, 6 months ago or more, and they're all coming to light where we're like, this is what was probably going to start happening. We're seeing,
here's the thing, ICW
increase in prices.
They've made better cards.
Yeah. Well, we're seeing we're seeing increase in prices. We're seeing a decrease in quality. We're seeing a decrease in customer service. We're seeing a decrease in everything across the board that collectors were expecting before. And it's just rising costs versus poor customer service. It's not making for a very fun experience for collectors. And hopefully this is just
all like that.
No, it's not all like that. No.
It's all like that. For example, I'm going to mention like the H2O cards came out, and there was one called Timebomb Pro Series One, and those cards look quite nice. So we're not shitting on indie stuff by any stretch.
No.
And we're all over it. Just that it was just an odd one. I should also mention last month we talked about that TNT set. That for whatever reason it didn't seem like they were going to be shipping, and I wasn't sure about what was going on. Well, just to clarify on that, the UK TNT, we did receive our set. Now there's that FE set, which we didn't actually buy. So, this is secondhand information I'm getting. There was still problems with that as far as I know, that people just didn't get that set. So, TNT, again, we're dealing with an independent group, and we don't know if they're reprinting. Apparently some sets were found, and whatever. We're just interested in getting them for the collection. And again, we're not here to pass judgment on how these indie guys run the card portions.
No.
But
the market has definitely changed. That's for sure.
Yeah, we did receive those TNT cards that I was questioning last month. Were they in fact going to get done? Now, whether they got remade or whether they were, however they got to us, they got to us. So, and there's more indie stuff coming. And again, we often refer to the Brotherhood. Those guys, they're on top of all that stuff. They let us know what's coming out and when. And the great thing about those guys too is not just the card sets. They let us know what events are happening. So it's almost like having a direct feed of all the indie shows that are happening in with these guys.
That's fun. That's really fun.
So that covers new releases. On the Panini Revolution, I just wanted to, and Adam and Ryan talked about this in a lot of detail. This is the Kabooms, because going into these things, looking at what had happened in other sports, people were talking, well, you get a rock kaboom, it could be a big thing. Now, they didn't print any parallels of them, first of all. We know they're just one per box or one per case or whatever. So they are rare.
Allegedly, because I've seen some people doing box breaks where they pulled 2 kabooms and stuff like that within the
Well,
same
here's the
case
thing.
break.
Here's the telling thing. Ty, the one of one guy,
Mhm.
he had images of all of them on day one.
Yep.
So they weren't all that rare.
Nope.
And that was great that he did that. He was able to show us here's the lot of kabooms. Now we people say, oh, you're hyping this product. No one's hyping anything.
Nope.
All we're doing is saying that, excuse me, in sports, in football, you know, if you get a top name Patrick Mahomes kaboom, it's a 6-figure card. And all that was being said was that this release is looking very similar to last year's 2022 release, this Revolution, but these kabooms are new, so this could be a big thing. Now, they didn't ended up being analogous kind of to the Color Blast, and maybe not even insofar as the value. You're already able to buy some of the kabooms as low as $100. You know, you're still, the Hogans went for $600, $700, but the next ones will be less.
Yeah,
you know.
that's the case. That people who come on and start chastising people for paying too much money for certain cards, that's always been the case, and it will always be the case, because there's always people out there. There's people out there who have to be the first in their block to have something, and they're willing to pay a premium price.
If you're just patient, right? If someone all of a sudden presents me a master set of Revolution, Tony, then I might pay a little extra to just get it here for the flip through, to talk about it, to,
Sure.
you know, to get it on the wall, you know, and I get it. I get that I pay more than if I wait for 6 months, but I can't be 6 months from now wondering.
Not even 6 months. This stuff drops immensely after the first couple of weeks.
But I'll tell you what hasn't is immaculate base cards.
Well, immaculate base cards hasn't, because it's just I think it's a shorter print run to begin with.
Well, these are
to me, these kabooms. Talking about kabooms, these kabooms are no better to me than going after. They're even less than Galactics to me. They're probably on the same level as a Lava, or maybe I'd even put them in a cubic type range like that.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. That the Galactics are the gold, not the color gold, but
no, they're the prize, and they're the ones that I've been saying for a while. The other people are sleeping on, and you know, I go after whatever I can on the Galactics. So for my Luma stuff, anyways. But kabooms are disappointing. They were hyped up by sports people who are familiar. I mean, they were hyped up in the minds of people because, like you said, they are kind of related to the sports. They are a big thing in sports. It seems to me they printed a shit ton of them just for the wrestling ones. And that's unfortunate. I think what killed them on that also was no parallels of all. No parallels.
It changes the economy on them. And another 100% criticism too is that you know, that the set looks a lot like last year's Revolution set insofar as design and everything, as the Prism kind of resemble last year's Prism. Well, guys, they're cranking out 6 or 7 of these a year at 150, 200 base cards. I mean, you know, there has to be overlap. There's no way that they could be original. Like if you look at the Chronicles, it's incredible over a 500 card, 400 card base set, how many different designs of cards you have.
Well, because you have multiple different at one time licenses series. Like that, different series like that. So it's really it's an amalgam of all those things, and it's a fun little set.
To that point, things are going to start looking samey, guys. They're just are, because and this is only year 2. We've got a couple more years of this to go before the grand turnaround. And then who knows where we're going to be. We might still have Panini and Topps and Fanatics and whoever else.
Yeah, whoever else. I mean, for me personally, I'm not overly impressed with the kabooms. I'm not a fan of the design to begin with. So
kind of cartoony. I'm not against them. You know, like, again, hey, the most expensive card ever sold is a rock card that I think is a very average looking card.
Yeah.
You know, there's better rock cards out there. So it's not about look.
No.
At all. You know, the best looking cards, you know, the most iconic card of all time is a young Hulk Hogan that looks like he's sitting on a can. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's let's be honest too, that whole entire series is not the most eye pleasing either.
But for the era, for a guy that went click next,
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But you know, it's always to each their own, you know, as far as what you like in design. I mean, we're not all going to go out and buy, you know, Porsches. Some of us, you know, like Lexuses, some of us like Toyotas. I mean, it's different for everybody. So for me, kabooms are not it for me. I'm so super happy there's no Dexter Loomis in that particular line. Nobody, not that he ever would be, but I don't really care for him. So it's just me. It's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, fair enough. Like that Leaf set we talked about, that new set that kind of had the
also not my cup of tea. You know? I just I don't collect bobbleheads, so I'm not really interested in it.
Yeah. My problem is I collect everything, so I get stuck with stuff. And then I look back And I go, what the fuck were they thinking? You know what? But I respect Leaf because they've been good to the wrestling community.
Of course
They've
they
done
have.
a lot,
Yeah, yeah.
they've done a lot of great releases. And the dedicated stuff is really cool because it just shows that they care about us as collectors. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's changing. Like 2 years ago, we didn't have near as many people in the hobby collecting wrestling as we do now. And that's
Yeah.
all thanks to the efforts of Panini and Topps until they had the license and Leaf just cranking out product,
Yep.
because there's got to be something for us to buy, right?
Yep. So
So speaking of stuff to buy,
I want to actually go into
Mhm.
the we're going to go in the market recap, the market price guide index. Let's do that first before
The
we go to
index
top
first,
sales.
okay,
Yeah, index
before
first.
we get into sales. Okay, so market index, 2021 AEW hobby box. Look at this, Tony. It was like at 75-ish, and it went up to $89.
Yep.
So I guess that speaks to a point that I think you made a couple of shows ago that, when things get a little scarce, they tend to go up a little bit. You might see a
Yeah.
$10-15 bump when all of a sudden Target's out of them.
Yeah. Well, you see that one of the sales from this past month was up to $130 for a box that
Someone paid
was,
130.
yeah, it was
So that
sitting at, I
lifted
mean,
the average.
they almost paid double what the average was.
Correct.
And so
Now
that
we've
bumps up our average here when we have a low of 85 and a
and
high of 130.
correct. And we've addressed that
Well,
many times.
75.
Why does that happen? How does that happen that someone pays 60 and the next sale is for 130? Like someone paid more than double. And there is no explanation other than the poor guy that paid 130 didn't know.
It's just
And it was there. Someone made
eyeballs
the
on
ask.
a certain
Yeah.
listing at a certain time. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Maybe,
weird.
yeah, maybe he thought he was getting Spectrum. Who knows?
But
Whatever. Yeah.
on the flip side, we have 2022 AEW that took a big nosedive.
Correct. Correct. That went down, and that was the same thing, $75. And we've seen it come down to $50 a box. That's a cheap box, huh?
That is a cheap box.
For what, it's the inaugural AEW release, Upper Deck. So $50 is good. And if you look at some of those prices, Tony, they go down to as low as $41 a box, so
Yeah, and
that's
some
a
of them,
good buy.
yep.
And who knows what you could pull out of a $41 box, right?
You never know. I mean, you have no idea. So I think overall the AEW brand through Upper Deck is just suffering from a lot of different things. And it's just it's showing. I don't know if it's from a collector standpoint where people are like, well, I don't like that product as far as that that particular wrestling program. I don't know what the reasons are. And it's not like that they're cranking out, I don't think, anywhere near what Panini's cranking out as far as numbers.
No.
And so you would think by sheer numbers, the volume out there, that those prices should be, holding firm. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what July brings us, if that bounces back to that $70 price point or not.
July is a quieter time.
Yeah, I'm going to think that after the national, maybe we'll see some interest. Maybe Upper Deck will surprise us with some announcements coming up at the national, or whatever they have to present at the national, and that's going to drive some interest in product. Who knows?
Yeah. After that, we've got, the most controversial box in wrestling card history, the 22 Panini, the inaugural release.
Continuing to rise.
Yeah, now look what happened here, Tony. I've got 4 sales, and that's it.
Yep.
Only 4 sales on eBay of the inaugural box, which drove the price up to 275, and it was right down to about 200. Then it went to 234, then 257. Now it's up to 275, only on 4 sales. So that, again, almost like we just mentioned with the AEW, Walmart sells out or Target sells out, and no one could get them other than the big guys online who charge more. And you're paying a little more for it. Like 296, 275, 250, and 279 were the 4 that I found. Someone paid 296. That's a whole $100, 35% more than what we thought they were going to be landing at 2 months ago.
Yep. So, it's inaugural release. I suspect over time we're going to see some of these boxes. I wouldn't be surprised in 5 to 10 years to see these become $500 plus boxes.
Yeah, there's still value. I mean, Ty's the guy to ask, but I don't think the Roman Reigns has been pulled yet. The Black Roman.
I don't think it has been from either release. I don't think, right?
Right.
We're still missing those.
I'm not saying that that's a 6-figure card or maybe even a 5-figure card, but it's a card that people are going to want, right?
Desirable card. Yeah. There's still some big money cards we pull from that product.
Sure. And you get stuff like the White Sparkle and all the other shit that people like in there.
Yep.
1985 Topps Hulk Hogan. I mean, this is the sort of standard bearer for us to check our index on. And look at that. It's slipped a little bit. We've seen some lower sales, $17, $22.50, $27. It's normally about a $30 card, the 85 Hogan.
If I'm
But
not mistaken, this is the all-time low for our monthly recaps on this card right now.
probably
I'm going back
goes
and
a lot
looking,
of
and
them.
I see nothing below $30.
Well, to be honest with you, most of them are graded, and I don't count those because how
Yeah,
can you compare one grade to the next one, grading
yeah.
company to the next? But you know, if you just take the yellow #1 Hogan card, and occasionally I'll look at the green one or the bluish one as well. They tend to be a little less. And of course, if you see an OPG, that's going to be worth quite a bit more. And if you see Scanlans, fuck a Scanlans could be $100, right? They're
Yep.
so rare, especially if you get one mint, because those things, for whatever reason, they didn't wear well over time.
No.
Um, but still, one of the most popular cards in wrestling card history, that 85 Hogan, and it's you know, you can always hang your hat on $30, but we lost about $5 this month. But like you say, let's see what July, August, spring, when it's, you know, dog days of summer, you know, and then by September, and some numbers will get back up.
Yep, I believe so.
Even more surprising than only 4 prison hobby boxes being sold. Look at this: only 2 sales of the 1991 WCW Impel base set. I'll let you explain that one.
Well, you know, I'm just going to wait till they dry up completely before I release more.
Until we got 0.
So we got 0.
Well, I guess it stood to reason that eventually they get bought, right? Because we're
Of
talking
course.
about they're a cheaper box. You know, you can still buy Sting, you can still buy Flair, you can still buy Luger. Yeah, there's good people in that box. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
it's
there's a plethora of this out there. It's not like it's some rarities like that. Now the numbers show that we've only seen 2 sales for the month of June for base sets, but you know, everybody who's into wrestling cards probably has this set already. Or some
eventually we're going to hit that saturation point, aren't we? That the guys that are going to want such a thing just because of what it is and how much you get
I
it
still
for.
go back to
We've
where,
covered
you
them all
know,
off.
I still go back to the, you know, during the pandemic times like that, people were really pushing the shit out of this to make it something special, you know, really trying to get like, got to get this Flair graded, got to get this Sting graded. And
Yeah, yeah,
it just didn't stick. And for
yeah.
those who actually
Yeah.
capitalize off that, you know, good for you, I guess. But, you know, now it's like, you can pick up, you know, singles of this stuff for like a quarter, you know?
Oh, you could have your banker's boxes full of that product if you wanted to, but you know,
Yeah.
to turn it around is difficult. And now you can buy that set for $8 on eBay, so that's not something you can make a dollar on in your store even.
No, no. I mean, I have it.
Yeah,
I have in the store for, you know, the collector out here, and I can always haggle and wheel and deals
sure.
like that. But I've got 2 other complete sets sitting in an official stomp, you know, collection binder on the floor too.
That binder is worth more than a set.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, yeah,
100%.
yeah. Yeah, I got one as well. There's probably not a lot of them.
You're the only person I know of besides me that has one.
You have 2, don't you?
I have 2 of them. Yeah.
Yeah. They're probably out there. I can't remember. I certainly got my binder afterwards
Oh, me
because
too.
I bought the cards way back. Like that would have been one of the first sets that I would have gotten, you know, in
Yeah,
around.
I bought packs of that
Yeah.
and built my set through packs. And I discovered the binder probably, you know, in the late 90s, early 2000s on eBay, and that's where I snagged them from. So
I used to grab a lot of sets from Grimm. I can't say
same here. You
if
know,
that would have been one of them, if I would have got the Impel. Like, for example, I specifically remember the Imagine set, right?
Yep.
You know, the black and white ones
Yep.
of the vintage guys. I remember buying that from Grimm and getting 2 of the autographs on the side. And I've subsequently bought 3 or 4 more. So I'm still missing 2 all these years later. But
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
very definite memories of standing in line at the post office to get a US money order, because that's all there was. There was no
yeah,
eBay, right? Or eBay was just starting to cook.
yeah.
Certainly was no PayPal. You know, and sending money orders down to you guys to have a few cards shipped up.
Yeah, for the Grimm, you know, I've had, you know, I used to have many long phone conversations with him. And then we made deals where he would send me stacks of 5,000 box count wrapped up nice in a big box. I would just take all his sets, his extra base sets. So I regret, you know, wholesaling those back in the day, but you know, here we
Yeah.
are. I mean, I had, you know, 40, 50 base sets of Royal Rumble, 40, 50 base sets of Absolute Diva. And you saw back here, I still got plenty of those.
Yeah,
So in the
those
back
Royal
here.
Rumbles are gold. Or even that Mysterio brick of WCW that you held in your hand. If you had
Yep.
just thrown that in a drawer somewhere and forgotten about it for 10
Yeah,
years,
right. You know, that's exactly
you know?
right. So shoulda, coulda, woulda, man. Can't play that.
Yeah. Oh, I do that with real estate all the time. I drive around. You see that building? Yeah, I had paper on that building, didn't get it, you know, or that kind of thing. Let's carry
2020.
on. 2022 Panini Immaculate. We looked at that hobby box because it was a more of expensive one. Those are the green ones that have the
Yep.
more high-end stuff. And like I said earlier, I'm still trying to put together the base set. I'd like to think it's going to happen, but it's not going to happen soon because I suspect I'll have to buy at least a few dozen cards in the $50 range to get it done.
You never know.
It's just not worth, yeah. Well, I'm into it over $1,000 for sure by now. Easily,
Yeah.
easily. You know, Chuck wouldn't, well, I pay for it. Chuck does all the work, you know,
Yeah.
assemble, puts them in the box. But and that's something I told him, we're not going to do these, Chuck. It's too much, too expensive, too much work. And yet, you know, you get to 75, it's like, well, maybe we can get there. Anyway, so they went up a little bit as well. They went from an average of about 400 to like 450.
Okay.
So
Yep.
450, 420, 470, 475. So they've gone up. That's another box that's probably going to retain its value.
A big
Because
time. I think so too. That's going to be a $500 box at some point very soon, I think.
right.
As people start to discover how difficult that set is to build, and I don't think anybody's really going out there trying to build sets. You're the guy. That's it. But as you discover that even certain chase from that are going to be difficult, that box is going to keep going up.
Yeah. Yeah. And then lastly, we've got the 2023 Prism just to compare to the 2022. And it's up a bit from last month, but where it was 2 months ago, about $215. But you can see like year one is still, you know, almost $100 more.
Yeah, well, it's year one. We expect that from a debut release like that. So 2023 is sitting around that price point that I think is probably a comfortable price point. I think it'll be hovering around that $200 price point for quite some time.
Yeah, yeah. And that seemed to be what we said on the first set. I remember me asking you, are we going to go down to 150? And you keep mentioning, well, that was the suggested price on
Yeah,
it, but no, we expect it to be around $2, and it's actually come back up. So
yep.
so that's it for the market, guys. You know, like we know that the sports card market in general is down. You know, these numbers allow us to sort of look in at a more micro level at certain segments of the hobby and tell us, you know, are some areas performing better than others, modern versus vintage, et cetera, et cetera. It's just fun to sort of get a sense. Like Tony and I, we enjoy this kind of thing, looking at prices, and often I tweet stuff that, hey, something sold yesterday for $7,000 that people like to see. So
Yep.
it's good to follow this stuff. And then we got our top sales of the month. You know,
Yep.
what were the big numbers? What were the exciting numbers? And obviously the biggest one was the 2023 Rock Prism Black. Final price on that, Tony, was $14,000 plus buyer's premium, coming to 16,800. And we're not going to get into, is that the right price? Is that high? Is that low? That's what the price was on that day. The
Yep.
next day it could have been something completely different, higher or lower.
Now,
You know?
I don't know if I should say anything at all like that. I don't think it's huge secrets like that, but I'm almost certain the same buyer who bought the other one bought this one.
Are you?
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
Through
When
messaging.
you mean the same buyer, you mean the guy who bought it originally for 10?
No, the same guy who bought the record breaking card.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought you meant the guy that had bought
No,
it
no,
originally.
sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the guy that paid the 1.25 for the Rock 10 can buy whatever he wants.
Pretty
Right.
much. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
when you're on pay, so I think it's exciting for the hobby. I don't care where your position is and your stance is. And
No, that's all it is.
it's an ugly design. It's this, it's that. It shouldn't be this. It shouldn't be that. It doesn't matter what it should have been. Here's what it is. And this
It's
is
$16,800 sold through Golden. So
that's right. So
that's what it is. That's what it is, and it is what it is.
yep. So there we go. And then number two, we got, it wouldn't be a list if we didn't have a wrestling all stars in there like that. There's always going to be a wrestling all stars in the top 10.
Always. And this was a big one. It was a Hogan 9.5 BGS for 15
No,
grand.
actually, we had, well, that was an Andre.
Oh, sorry, Andre. My apologies. I'm looking at the wrong thing. I'm the wrong line. Number two is the Andre 9.5 for 15 grand.
It's good.
The Andre,
Great
the
sales.
Andres get big numbers, huh?
Yep. That was a big dude.
Yeah. Big guy, big sales.
That's
And
right.
we're talking about a Prism going for 16.8, and then an Andre All-Star goes for 15. You know, in around the same ballpark.
Yep.
You know, these are big numbers for wrestling cards.
Yeah,
Could
I mean, you
Tony, a year
mentioned,
ago, if I would have said, you know what, Tony, next year we're having our discussion, we're going to have two sales at around 15 grand. It's going to be this and this. You're going to say, yeah, right.
yeah, almost on an average now these days, it seems like, which is incredible because I know you just said a minute ago in our market index was, the market's down, but it doesn't seem to be as down for wrestling cards across the board. The average, yes, everything, but we still have sections of our hobby that are still generating really good sales.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have, like last month we had, we went back down to some more realistic lows on this month's top 10. Last month's top 10 was
Yep.
a lot of stuff in the higher price points where we get back down to a little more reality this month.
Yeah,
But
last
still-
month, if you didn't hit $5,000, you weren't even considered in our top 10 yet.
Correct.
know.
And usually you need two, and here, we got just under that. But
Yep.
again, we had two sales of 5-figure wrestling cards, and that's something to laud and celebrate. Number three, which were my eye went originally, was the 82 Hogan All Stars BGS 8.5, and that went for 5,500. You know, again, And I just posted today an Immaculate sold last night, the 1 of 1 Hogan signature for almost $7,000. So
Yeah.
so these are significant sales. And again, this is the Immaculate is a modern sale of a vintage name. And here's another All-Star. And right below that, we have a signed Ric Flair 82 All-Star that went for 4,500. So you got an Andre, a Hogan, and a Flair. Your 1, 2, 3, all sort of at the top of the list.
Yep.
And then we got, again, more modern, the 2022 Bloodline 7 autograph booklet. Now, you've seen the one that opens up and it's got Nafa, and it's got Roman in the middle and the Usos. Dude, that's going to be a piece one day.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to come a time 10 years from now where someone's going to hold up this or put this up on Wrestling Card Wednesday, and he's going to get 1 billion likes because he's got the book from this time of the bloodline, and wrestling's turning into a soap opera with these stories that go on for 6 years. But, it seems to go, people are digging it, and they like this new style of writing and keeping it going and going and going and going. And, if you got 7 autographs of the, people central to this story, that's a nice get. And
I think this $3,500 price is probably on the low end for this book.
Might be.
So this guy, I think
they've gone for more, haven't they?
I thought so.
Yeah, we'd have to check. We're the ones to ask, I guess. It's in our notes, but and then we got after that, we got a WCW PSA 8 Hogan autograph for 2,600.
Yep.
Yeah, which is pretty good. Those things. Jamie Wallace keeps a good eye on what the upper end of those are, and I know he paid for the one that said wood on it.
Yeah.
But the Savage autograph in a high grade, the Elizabeth autograph in a high grade, certainly Benoit, Jericho, these kinds of guys. High grades of these things are going to be worth more and more. And there are guys like Uncle Danny that are starting to look at this in a little more detail and saying, hey, I like those cards. And we're going to talk about the PSA registry in a bit, and there's not a lot of that stuff there relative to what there could be, is my point, of the WCW autographs. So that's a good number on that one. And then right under that, yet another Hulk Hogan in 1985, the one that we just talked about. If you get I didn't mark it on the thing. I think it was a PSA 9, or it was an 8 or 9 anyways, and I got $2,550. Again, this is a $30 card that goes up to $2,500 when it's graded, so it gives you an idea.
Yep. I really like that we've seen some of these numbers again. I'm just reviewing the list again real quick and say Hogan. Yeah. Well, there's always going to be a Hogan. What do you got this time? We got 1, 2, 3 Hogans in the top 10 again.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll finish this off before we get to the next topic. Mr. McMahon Transcendent Auto, number to 9, 2019, $2,000.
I think that's, again, even number to 9. I mean, just
that's low.
2,000's low, man. That's so
low because you can get the right. It's hard to buy that card for under $1,500. Any of them now.
Yeah.
Raw. Number 9, Immaculate Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest dual patch auto 1 of 1, 1975.
I like that one because something different in the top 10 thing. I think it's kind of nice to see something like that with current talent. With Damian Priest now being a new Mr. Money in the Bank. It's real possible this guy's going to go on to be a world champion at some point.
Possibly.
Regardless of what your feelings are about that, it could help. This card could be undervalued. So who's to say? I think it's fun to see something new make the top 10.
Yeah, I agree. Thumbs up to Rhea Ripley, who looks like she's about to smack you upside the back of your head.
Yeah, well, I got to have some protection.
And lastly, we have at $1,900 the 1998 Comic Images Rock Auto and SGC 8.
Could do a whole episode just talking about this particular card and its ups and downs.
Because that card runs in between $1,200 and $1,500. So that one probably could have seen a better bump on the grading, but again, big numbers. So that's it. That's our top sales in month.
Love it. Again, we expected the numbers to kind of drop down like this anyway. So, but to see a couple of cards that hit those 5-figure deals is pretty damn impressive. Anytime we see a 5-figure sale in wrestling cards, I think it's really a testament to the collector base that we have right now. And I think it's awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. So moving on, we took care of all of our top prices like that, which is always fun and interesting to look at. And so it's always nice to see something new enter the top 10. And so seeing that Ripley and Priest card up there is is nice. So, and I suspect we're going to see as talent starts to kind of rise a bit. You know, I wouldn't be
Rhea Ripley
surprised.
might be a future 5-figure card name.
You never know. I mean,
You know?
you know, you got a LA Knight right now is on fire,
Yeah.
so maybe that becomes something. I don't know. It's tough to say. I've
Yeah.
never. So let's move on. So we got some stuff to talk about. I want to kind of skip over in our notes. I know we have them itemized by number. I want to go right into this bullet point you put on here to discuss the competitiveness on the PSA registries like that. What?
Yeah. Well, there was quite a bit of talk and in a video this month about grading and the PSA versus the other grading companies. And one of the things when I was watching that came to mind that wasn't really discussed is the PSA registry. And I've always found that to be a very interesting phenomena, you know, notwithstanding whether you're integrating or not. And, you know, if you're a guy like me with a lot of cards, you know, if I would have gotten into grading early, I wouldn't have had this many cards. So I've always been to the mindset that if you want to maximize your value, you want to flip or sell your cards or treat them like an investment or a business, and by all means. And I agree with what the guys are saying. Go to PSA because they're the best. Why wouldn't you want to go with who's
King of the hill,
most
man? No doubt about it.
Yeah, very, 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 very simple. But one of the more interesting things to me is the PSA registry. These guys were very clever when they decided to create a database and let these guys with the top grades list their cards so everyone could see who's where, because we don't have that in any other world of the hobby except there.
Yep.
And this is where things like Rob England and Uncle Danny start off. This is where, you know, we see Joey Graben licking his lips, looking at who's in the #1 position and saying that's not going to be forever. You know, and I find it interesting that the competitiveness that this fuels, and you know, it's a friendly competition for the most part, but we've seen it become unfriendly. We've seen people manipulate the registry. We've seen people come up with ways to play around certain rules that they've done.
Sure,
and again,
sure.
you know, I'm not in that world. So the last thing I'd ever do is say, let's do a podcast on grading, Tony, because I don't grade cards.
Exactly.
But you know, but I can sort of observe that this registries is a nifty bit of promotion that PSA has done for themselves, because I don't see people running to the Beckett registry or the you know to
no,
see how
you don't really hear with the other ones like that.
no, but the PSA registry to be the top man is a thing. And it's very much you know, one of these.
Yeah,
and
it is
good
to be commended
PSA
for sure.
creating that and creating that sort of foster that competitive spirit amongst these top collectors.
Yeah, I think it's a fun thing too. I think it drives up a lot of, like you said, competitiveness in people like that. And I think in the overall grand scheme of things like that, it's actually very good for the hobby because it creates you know, more discussion, and then that discussion starts to vibrate outwards like that to, like, you know, what is this PSA registry thing? What is this all about? There's great. I mean, so there's things to be learned there, I think, from people who maybe be coming into our hobby for the first time and going, oh, that could be fun. That could be another little aspect of my collecting. It's like that to go out there. Yeah, I thought about it. I thought about finding something, a niche that I would be interested in. It's like that, but in the end, it's not really for me. I just I enjoy what I do. But for other guys out there, it's fun to watch. That's for sure. It's fun to watch some of this stuff. It's like,
do you go on there and check it out? I don't. I've been
I
on
do
there maybe
occasionally
twice
because
ever.
I've had things graded, but I don't think I have anything on there. I was going to until I decided I was going to sell that Hogan card to help fund the store. But then I said, yeah, you know what? I go in every once in a while just kind of check things out. I usually see guys on social media posting where their standings are and stuff like that because they're proud of what they've done, which is that's fine. It's great.
Sure, but it's also a tipping point, isn't it? A bone of contention, you know.
Sure, it is. But
that's,
two,
you know,
it's almost fun in a sense that
almost
here we are. We're wrestling.
We're wrestling. So what's wrong with a bit of fireworks and a bit of atmosphere?
Yeah, we're a story-driven type markets like that, you know, from the actual product itself. Now we take it over to the cardboard, and now we're like creating these storylines within our.
Some guys on Twitter are admitted heels, right?
Of course,
they say, hey, you know, it's just a persona. You know, it's like, okay, well, one day we're going to set up a real wrestling ring and we're going to get you guys together and see where things land.
Yeah, and then it's just a story of my life, man. We're going to so many conventions over the years. You end up running these guys who, you know, they run their mouths on lines like that, and you see them in person. All of a sudden, they're like a little puppy dog, like, "Oh, it's just so nice to meet you.
Exactly.
Can we take a picture?"
Exactly.
So it's all fun. I mean, everybody's always 7 feet tall, 500 pounds online, man. So
exactly.
But I think it's fun. I think it's it'd be nice to see someone go out there and maybe do an episode with a variety of people that like to do the registry type stuff and discuss their journeys and what it means to them and all that stuff. I just think it looks it'd be a fun story to hear. I think it'd be fun to hear that kind of stuff.
And we have guys in the hobby that are, at the top of those lists.
Oh,
Obviously.
top of the list, 100%. I mean, some of these guys are, damn near untouchable, I think, in some respects. And so it's if you had that kind of accomplishment under your belt, I think you too would probably go out there and flaunt that a little bit like that.
Toot your horn. Well, speaking of conventions, you mentioned that we got a big one coming up in a few weeks.
I heard about it. Is it
Yeah.
new?
So, guys, the National is at the end of the month. This will be the last time that we'll be coming at you in this format. We'll probably have one more, the four of us talking about it, and we're going to be doing some remote stuff from it. But just to give you an idea, this year is going to be quite a bit more exciting because we've got something that you're going to explain to people in a second about called the main event. It's the first year. It's a little more than what we did last year. Last year we did the panel, and that's going to be happening again. There's going to be 6 on stage talking about wrestling cards, and that's going to be shot out for the entire national audience and the internet and stuff. But we're also doing something called the main event. And this is being done in conjunction with Adam Gelman, Shane, Sports Card Nobody, and New York Roadshow. And Ryan. So the 6 of us have been sort of working away at this for the last few months, just sort of planning and getting all of our ducks lined up. And we're winning a few weeks away now, and it's all come together. But we have a huge announcement. I'm going to let you make that announcement.
Well, I mean, the big announcement really here is that we are officially have a sponsor, and that's going to be Panini. Panini's on board to sponsor our fun night of getting together with some wrestling collectors out there, and it's just going to be something fun for us to do. It's definitely something bigger than what we had last year.
Absolutely.
Last year we were completely uncharted waters, basically. So
we were just
once again, Paul.
Here we are.
I think Price Guide and WTC are laying foundations again. And
laying card foundations.
Yes. And it's been a fun journey. So when you get some really enthusiastic people out there that want to take this and run with it, it just alleviates us from all that stuff. We kind of have a little play.
We really need to give special credit to New York Roadshow, who was the liaison between Panini and Adam in getting this all together. We were aware that this was something that we were trying to put together, but it wasn't official until just yesterday or the day before. And like Chuck was asking me, so what is this exactly? And I'm like, it's a party, dude.
It's a party.
It's a bunch of like-minded people in a convention atmosphere. We're going to be doing some presentations. The Panini people are going to be there. I expect there might be an announcement or two, and we're just going to be floating around meeting everybody. You're going to be pounding, you're going to come, you're going to meet us, look for Tony and I on the floor of the show for sure. We're going to be there all 3 days. But definitely this is an opportunity to where come find us. Tony will give the email address, because what we're doing is we're asking people in advance to let us know that they're coming, because we are limited on space, and believe it or not, the spaces are filling up.
They really are. I think as of last year we had, our panel, which was great. And we had a nice little audience there, which was really cool. And the dinner ended up being just, a half a dozen of us, which was, to me, still
because it was delayed. We had more people, and we kept losing people as we had to wait the 3 hours or whatever it was for hard.
But it was so much fun, though. I mean, and so that was awesome. But it's really taken on a whole different life now. Like, we're really moving. Wrestling cards as a whole has really moved into the mainstream stuff now. So it's not like this little, it's still a niche. It always will be, I guess, but we're taken more seriously. All the indifferences that we've had over the last year and a half, 2 years, with Panini stuff and all this, and it's sort of kind of like, it's a memory now for me in a sense, because we are where we're at now because of all these things happening. And this is
next level shit.
The next 100%.
We're first of all, Panini agreeing to sponsor us and kick in a few bucks for what we're doing. It shows to me that they're appreciative of the work that we're doing to sort of highlight their product. They're aware that guys like Gelman and me and you and a whole bunch of us are tweeting their product, Instagramming their product, running Facebook groups, and doing the sort of ground level work for them to get the word out there. And it's Lucas has said to me a couple of times, or sort of tweeted, that he appreciates seeing these things, like when there's a big Panini sale or when there's something significant. I tweeted that card of the Iron Sheik and Hogan, just because it was a great on-card dual autograph of the two. And it got loads of response. And that's the kind of stuff that Panini appreciates, because they make these cards, and kudos to them for making these things that we buy and love so much. But it's good that they're giving a bit back to the community. And nothing to do with licenses coming and going. This has nothing to do with the
No,
value of
no,
the rock
no.
card or something else. This is a manufacturer of a product, hanging out with their customers. And
Yep.
that's what this is going to be. You're going to have the opportunity to talk perhaps with someone that might have made a trading card, and chatting with us. And we're going to have other members of the community that sort of inhibit different lanes of the hobby, and we're all going to be under one roof. And there'll be refreshments and such. It's just going to be just a great night. Now, the panel, we still, as was the case last year, they're still working out the timetable. I was told I might have even had it by the end of the week, which is today. Probably the second we go off the air, boom, the time will come. But as soon as we know when that time is, we'll make that available to you as well. And we believe, now, Tony, you were instrumental last year in sort of arranging all the hookups of the live stream and making sure that it could be repurposed for WTC after the fact. Because
Yeah,
we certainly want to make sure it's going to be a
we're
good
doing that
panel.
again this year, I hope. I think
It's going to be a good panel. It's going to be you and I, and then 4 new faces. And I think it's going to be lots of fun between that and getting to meet all these new people. You and I were talking before we got on air about maybe going for some Chicago deep dish. This is going to be a fun weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun weekend. I'm still blown away by where we've grown from a year ago. I mean, last year was sort of monumental in the fact that at the National itself, had never had wrestling cards ever been on center stage before. And we broke that mold, which was great.
Yeah, we did.
And now here we are a year later, and it's like, how did all this happen so quickly in a year?
All of a sudden, it's bigger and better. And again, full thanks to Adam and Ryan and Shane. Adam in particular for taking the ball and running with it and making some executive decisions. And that's how it has to be sometimes.
It does.
A committee can get a little bogged down if everyone's trying to achieve consensus. Sometimes,
Sure.
one guy just has to say, hey, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. I'm very much a guy that says, great, you're handling that, good. I'll handle this, you do that, and that, and I'll see you there with a beer in my hand.
Yep.
It's going to be a good time. So, Tony, the email for that to get on that
Yeah.
list?
So what you need to do is that this is sort of an invite only type of thing. It is. So you need to make sure you want to make an RSVP for this, and you want to reach out to Chicago Main Event 2023 at gmail.com. That's Chicago Main Event 2023 at gmail.com. Email that quickly if you plan on attending. It's going to be on July 28th at the Hyatt Regency. So please RSVP. We'd love to see as many wrestling card collector faces there as possible. I'm envisioning at some point in time someone's going to have to take a snapshot of all of us in the room together. That'd be just freaking awesome.
Too many of us in one room. You know what? You did that very good, man. When you read the email there, reminded me of like one of those late night infomercials. Chicago 2023. Yeah, you're a natural, dude.
So it's a lot of years of listening to radio, I guess. I don't know. Please email that.
There's no excuse if you're in the greater Chicago area to not come to that. It's free. And if you're into not just wrestling cards, but just sports
and let me leave you with this, if not to entice you anymore, it's like that, not to give away anything yet because we're still working on details like that. But we may have possibly some freebies to give away.
Yeah,
that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
We're working on stuff. We just don't want to blow our load all at once.
I think we're working on stuff. So I just think it's you will not be disappointed if you come to this event, and it's just going to be a lot of fun to go and kind of finally meet face to face a lot of people that you've probably only interacted with on social media, and just again a lot of like-minded people, man. Just trying to blow this hobby up.
It's a 3-hour thing, so you can come for 5 minutes. Just come, show yourselves, introduce yourselves.
Say,
hey, here I am. This is
Yeah, you go ahead and pull a Greg from Main Event Collectibles. So I say, hi, I'm Main Event Collectibles, and all of a sudden, like Batman, where'd he go?
Gone. That was where'd he go? I want to talk to you.
I still wanted to talk to that guy. It's like
he introduces himself. I'm like, you stay right here. And
you turned around, and next thing you know, he was gone.
Yeah, but anyhow, so that's the National that's happening the 26th through the 30th in Chicago, the Rosemont area out by O'Hare, at the Donald Stevenson or Stevens Convention Center. It's the biggest one.
Yep.
If you haven't been to the National before, it's absolutely incredible. It's the scope of it, the grandeur of it is something you've never seen before. Forget about us in wrestling. Just to see that is something else. But if you're coming, look for us. Tony and I are going to be walking the floors, not there
make sure you
all day
check.
long, but coming and going, you know, so we'd love to meet you all, you know.
Most people who watch
Hi.
this or listen to this already follow us on social media, but if you
Yeah.
don't, please do. Make sure that you pay close attention, because we'll be making a lot more announcements via social media about certain things. You know, there might be some times that we'll say, hey, you know, find us on the floor, might have something for you.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
follow us, make sure you're you know, keeping tabs on everything's going on. And you know, hey, even if you're not going to be able to attend, shame on you, first off. Secondly, you know, make sure you do follow us, because we'll be broadcasting a lot of stuff live from there, and we'll be repurposing some stuff for future episodes as well too. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, like, comment, share, all that good stuff. And you know, Paul, not that anybody doesn't know where the hell to find you, where can they find you?
TheWrestlingCardPriceGuide.com.
Yes, and for us, it's all at WrestlingTradingCards.com. All of our social media can be found on the bottom of every single page, including the Discord channel that is the OG Discord channel for wrestling cards.
Yep.
You can go on there. I'm going to find the link to the old message boards. I heard that people are still using
Yeah,
that
someone
old
said it
message
was
board.
active still. You were
Yes.
telling me it was still active.
Yeah. People were still
I've been
kind
on
of,
there since Twitter. I thought when I went on Twitter, I forgot about the old real webs or
when I
real
rebuilt the
forums.
site, I just completely forgot about it too. So I
Yeah.
don't even remember my login and password. I can figure it out. But
Yeah.
that thing was set back up when I had my old AOL account. So that tells you how old it is.
Yeah. Well, it was the place. I mean, outside of pro boards and where
Sure.
the vintage guys were talking about their stuff.
Right.
Your forums were it for Tops Now and a lot of that talk. Chuck
Oh, hell,
was
even before then, I
moderator
mean,
for like 10 years.
the original message board for WTC was one of those message boards where a comment was made, and then the reply would be like a little line, you know, it's like a sub. That's all it was. And just this tree would build like this long response. That's how old that thing was. So, but thanks, guys. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Everybody seems to really like the monthly recaps. It's kind of the only real one I'm doing all the time. Outside of doing stuff with Zan Morning, make sure you go check out his stuff from Wrestling
check
with
out
Cards.
Zan and Worlds Collide, Wrestling with Cards.
And we do Worlds Collide as well, so like that. So we got a few more episodes coming out from that shortly.
There's a lot of great content out there, guys.
Lots
you
of
know, if you're into this stuff like we are, you know, check out the other guys, because it's all great stuff.
Yeah, so this stuff wasn't around before, and now it's plentiful, and I'm really happy to see that. So the more content, the better. And you can digest what you like, ignore what you don't want, and you know, it's all there for you, man. So I appreciate it, man. But Paul, always good to see you, my friend.
I'll see you in 3 weeks.
That's
nice. I'll meet you in the lobby of the hotel.
Get to see him in person again. It's always great. That's the biggest, funnest thing for me, by the way. It's just after all these years, finally meeting up last year. Then get to see you again this year. No, again twice last year. I'll see you twice this year.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So I'm really happy about that.
But
cool, man.
Yeah, come to the National, guys. You know, it's really great, and we're gonna be doing some really cool things there. Come hang out with us.
Yep. So until next time, guys, I will see you next month. All right, we're out.